On August 3, 1993, Paul D'Aranzio interviewed William Kunstler on the Let Them Talk radio program, where Kunstler revealed some details of what he had heard on the Salem tapes as well as some of his speculations. Here's a transcript part of that interview. Kunstler said, "I've read lots of the tapes by now, transcriptions of the tapes, which were just furnished to me today. Before I came here, I read some of them, and they are things like having him, Salem, say, 'Well, I think we ought to bomb the George Washington Bridge. That's a very good target. It would make the commuters race hell with this government of ours.' And then Sadiq Ali says, 'Yeah, Salem, I think so-and-so. Ali, yeah,' and so on. That's the way it goes, virtually throughout these hundreds of pages of transcription. These are 150 hours of tapes," D'Aranzio responded. Kunstler adds that Salem was a recipient of between $250,000 and $1 million for his services as an informant, plus monies paid to him by other sources linked to foreign governments, including money from an organization founded by the assassinated Rabbi Meir Kahane. Kunstler responded, "He, FBI informant Imad Salem, also received money from Kahane Chai, Rabbi Meir Kahane's group, probably from a lot of other people. Israeli Secret Service, the Mossad is not someone to exclude. Probably received money from the Egyptian government. He was a lieutenant colonel in the Egyptian army, which apparently he was."
People speculate that Meir Kahane could wind up dead. You know that.
I know that.
And you have suggested that it would not be at the hands of an Arab, but at the hands of a Jew.
Yes.
Why would they want to murder Meir Kahane now?
Because they are frustrated. They know of no other way to stop him.
Even prior with Nosier's trial, Kunstler maintained an assertion that Kahane was murdered by enemies within his own organization and suffered repercussions while defending him and the 1993 bombers.
I asked Dad if he thought Nosier was innocent. He told me that a lawyer never asks his client that question. This was one case he didn't even try to justify.
He sort of morphed into representing the unpopular, almost any unpopular. And it didn't matter so much as to how you became unpopular.
Why is he doing this? I mean, why is he representing those people? You know, aren't there still other cases of people we agree with out there?
He lost a lot of the liberal support that he had. He was no longer the great civil liberties, civil rights lawyer.
After the verdict, the Jewish Defense Organization staged daily protests in front of our house, shot out our front windows with red paint pellets, and called my father a self-hating Jew.
Kunstler is a traitor! Kunstler is a traitor! Kunstler is a traitor! Kunstler is a traitor!
It was scary. There were police at either end of the street.
Must go! Kunstler must go!
I hope you people will think of the questions that I don't have. Rabbi Meir Kahane is perhaps the most well-known Jewish leader in the world and certainly the most controversial. His fame started in 1968 when he organized the Jewish Defense League, which became notorious for its militant activities against the Soviet Union, as well as for its self-defense patrols in the inner city, which were meant to protect poor and elderly Jews. Arrested many times for his beliefs and convictions, at one point he served 11 months in a federal prison.
Prior to finding the JDL, in the late 1950s to early 1960s, Kahane worked as an FBI informant infiltrating the John Birch Society under the name Michael King. The JDL is a racist and oftentimes violent group of Jewish supremacists that's not a part of mainstream Jewry. They're not only known for violent demonstrations, but also for committing domestic terrorism. In 1975, Kahane was arrested for leading an attack on the police outside a Soviet UN mission and injuring 2 officers. Later that year, Kahane was accused of conspiring to kidnap a Soviet diplomat, bomb the Iraqi embassy in Washington, and ship arms abroad from Israel. His probation for a 1971 firebombing incident was revoked and Kahane was found guilty of violating probation and served a 1-year federal prison sentence. A list of Kahane and JDL crimes are on the FBI site. JDL members and leaders, including Kahane's multiple acts of terrorism, are so prominent that even the ADL have them listed on their site. However, the most interesting ones I found were these. September 27, 1970. 2 members of the JDL were arrested in an alleged plot to hijack an Arab airliner. The 2 were arrested at Kennedy Airport carrying firearms and explosives. They were later indicted on 6 counts by a grand jury but pleaded guilty only to a charge of passport falsification. February 6, 1973, an FBI agent revealed that members of the JDL had planned to use a drone airplane in 1971 to bomb the Soviet mission to the UN in New York. But apparently none of these operations, even by plane, can be considered international terrorism nor remotely true, because it either requires the prize of 72 virgins or you have to be Japanese.
Dad went on to represent defendants charged with the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, and others indicted for a plot to blow up the Lincoln and Holland tunnels. No one supported him.